Welcome to the Bros Talking Soccer podcast. My name is Dave Knittel, and on today's podcast, I am interviewing Todd Lewis and Tyler Elliott from the Free Kick Pod. Todd, hello.
Hey, Dave. How are you?
Well, thank you, Tyler. Hello.
How's it going, Dave?
It's good. So we looks like we have Todd on video. Tyler, we just have a picture of him looking out over the bay. I assume that's you,
Yep.
Tyler. Nice, yeah. It's a nice,
that was a heavier me.
Okay, it's a very picturesque scene, and so that'll be nice. If you're joining us live on YouTube, feel free to say hello, interact with us. If you're watching in the future, still leave a comment, interact, and I'll relay the messages, and we would still love to hear from you. I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about, guys. Any final questions before we jump into the interview?
I think we're good.
All right, Tyler.
Good.
All right, let's do it. I'd like to welcome on Todd Lewis and Tyler Elliott from the Free Kick Pod. Gentlemen, welcome to Bros Talking Soccer. Todd, hello. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Dave. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Tyler, hello. Welcome. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing well, enjoying the weather out here. I hear it's getting a little bit cooler for you guys. I was talking to my mom earlier today on the East Coast. It's cooler than it has been. Is that correct?
It is correct. Even though it's rainy today, we had 2 tornado warnings yesterday, so that's always a little bit scary. But I guess it's a lot better than earthquakes like you have over in California. So.
Yeah, it is. Since we've been having them, because I'm originally from the East Coast, I just am not okay with it. So I'm up on the 12th floor, and I'll be sitting here at the desk, and I have scarves right behind me here for anyone watching on YouTube, and they'll just start moving, and I'm just like, dude, forget this, man. I do not handle it well. So I would gladly trade the thunderstorms for the earthquakes. Tyler, how you doing? You staying cool?
No, I work outside.
Well, that's rough, but hopefully you're not outside right now.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, that's good.
Live from my own woods.
Yes. All right. Good. Well, guys, we've had you on once before, but that was before we kind of started to do these interview episodes. So I'm excited to have you back on for an actual interview. So Todd, let's start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you got into soccer?
Let's see. Well, Tyler and I are both, I guess I can speak for both of us, from Harford County, Maryland, which is about 25-30 minutes from Baltimore. Well, I guess I got into soccer in 2006. I put on the World Cup. England was playing Portugal at the time. Didn't know anything about soccer, but the commentators, pundits, whatever you want to call them, they kept talking about England. And I was like, okay, well, I like the way they're playing, even though they lost that game. But I was like, this is going to be my international team. So sorry for all you guys that are like, boo, you're not a United States fan. Like, I'm sorry, they're my second team. It just happened to be the first game I watched. And so, in that game again, game between England and Portugal, they kept talking about Manchester United too. And I had no clue who Manchester United were. I had no clue who any of these guys were. But as soon as they said that name, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll follow this club too. So, yeah, I guess that's when they were very, very successful. So a lot of people can say I'm a front runner, but those are the first 2 names that I heard. And, ever since then, I picked up FIFA in 2006, started playing it, following the team, and been a fan ever since. And I guess everybody else that's listening, if you're not a fan of Manchester United, you're like, yes, this is what you get. You guys had all that success under Sir Alex, and now, we're where Liverpool once were. So sorry, Dave.
That's all right. Hey, we've bounced back. So, I mean, that can be an encouraging sign for you. Tyler, what about you? I know Todd touched on where you guys are from, but how'd you kind of get into the sport of soccer?
Well, I mean, I guess to start, I played really little, really young, all the time for about 8 years until I guess I just never signed up. So I just took a break from it and never cared about it. I guess until, I want to say probably 2008 is when I played FIFA for the first time, with Todd, actually, believe it or not, on the GameCube. My only goal was to
GameCube. Nice.
Yeah, my only goal was basically to hurt Todd's players. So I just kind of rolled with that, and then I kind of just fell in love with Tottenham. I don't know why. It was just just scrolling through teams, and I was like, oh, hold on now. Who are these boys? And it was love at first sight.
Interesting. So what was it, the logo?
I guess it was the logo, or maybe just the jerseys at the time, the blue HP jerseys, the third kids that were extremely bright. ooh, shiny, I guess. That's how it all started.
Oh, that's hilarious. And so, well, I was going to save this for later, but since you both kind of touched on FIFA, I know you guys had some recent tweets about FIFA 20 with the game coming out soon. What are you guys excited about? And then what are you frustrated about? So,
I think we both had the same grievance.
okay. And
of
what was it?
FIFA. Todd ran it off, man.
I mean, I haven't played Ultimate Team in a long time. That's all what FIFA cares about is making money through Ultimate Team. And I haven't played Ultimate Team seriously since 2016. I mean, I touched it a little bit in 17, 18, and 19, but not enough to, research players and everything, figure out the transfer market, when to sell players and everything. So I was like, I don't care about this anymore. It's like, it seems like it's way too one-sided and everything, and it's basically pay to win. I'm like, I'm not. You work hard for your money, so I'm not paying my money anymore to get the good players. So the thing that Tyler and I and our friend Daryl are big into is pro clubs, and FIFA does not care about pro clubs, and that's pretty disappointing. So hopefully in FIFA 20 they do a major update for it. I'm not going to get my hopes up because it doesn't bring FIFA money. And then Volta looks kind of interesting because FIFA Street, I enjoyed that in the day, but then that kind of went away. And I don't know what my hopes are for Volta. I don't know. I mean, what I did last year for FIFA 19, I waited till Black Friday, spent $30. Didn't see the point paying $60 for a game if I'm barely going to play it, other than occasionally career mode and pro clubs. So I'll probably do the same this year unless I see a lot of good things for it. So we'll see what happens.
All right, fair enough. Volta is the new game engine for any of the video game people out there, or people who maybe don't know. And then FIFA Street, it used to be its own standalone game. Now they're trying to bring in some sort of element into FIFA 20 in this game, and so it's a little bit more skills based. And so I definitely loved that game back in the day. I can't remember. It was out probably in the early 2010s, right? I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, in that game, if you had Ronaldinho was the equivalent of Bo Jackson and Tecmo Bowl for anybody who didn't play FIFA Street. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah. So we talked about this on our podcast this weekend, but I wanted to get your thoughts. Tyler, what do you think about Juve not being in FIFA 20? Is that a big loss for you?
Personally, no, but I think that's always just strange when teams sign certain contracts to PES. I know we had Barcelona; they couldn't even call the stadium the Camp Nou. You would just play at some, I guess, randomly generated stadium. The manager was never listed. Sometimes substitutes were never listed. It was just really weird. I think it's bad for the total element of the game.
Fair enough, Todd. Anything else to add there?
I mean, I look at it as the same as when we lost Camp Nou, when the EA lost the rights to PES. Is that the other? That's
Pro Evolution Soccer. Yep.
Trash.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's cool and everything that Juventus are going to be exclusive for one game. I mean, it's about who gives you the most money, I feel like. So, I mean, you'll still be able to play with Juventus, but I mean, you just won't see those Juventus logo or the stadium. So I mean, it doesn't bother me. So I mean, you still get to play as Ronaldo if you're a fan of him. So
yeah, fair enough. Okay, well let's steer it back to your podcast. So the Free Kick Pod, I definitely wanted to talk about that. Can you tell us kind of how that started and how long you guys have been doing it?
You want me to take this one, Tyler?
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
All right, awesome, thank you. So it started in 2018. And honestly, January in 2018, we have one episode that we recorded that was trash. It's on SoundCloud. We're not going to tell you where to find it. I mean, you can find it someplace, but it's really, really awful. We recorded with a splitter, two Xbox mics, Tyler's barking dog in the background.
Shout out to my dog Bandit.
Just some whole sound environment was not good. I mean, our words were echoing off the wall. So we're like, you know what? Let's do some research and everything. Let's look into being a lot more professional, if you want to use that word, than what we have now. So we established ourselves in March of 2018. I went on Reddit. I asked people if they could tell me what laptop I could get for podcasting, tell me what mixer I need, what mic I need, and all this. And our ex-producer Brad, who produced our 100 episodes for us, he reached out to me on Reddit, and he was like, there's everything you need. And we just kept in contact, and he was like, yeah, I mean, whatever you guys need, I'll help you here and everything. So I mean, we went from talking on Reddit just telling us what we need to him actually producing our shows for 100 episodes. And I'm still in contact with him now, but he's now working 2 full-time jobs and everything just because he's getting ready to go back to college and he needs to make as much money as he can. So now I'm in charge of doing everything with the podcast. But I can honestly say without Brad, there would be no podcast and everything. I mean, this guy just went out of his way, a complete stranger who told me exactly what I needed, knew what my budget was, and he never gave up on us and everything. And he was just very, very understanding. So Brad Fair, shout out to him. And yeah, we talk about the English Premier League. We talk about the Champions League mostly. Right now in the summer, we're talking about transfers and rumors and all that jazz. Occasionally some MLS talk, and our team's the Philadelphia Union, so we're talking about them. But that's kind of the gist of the whole podcast. Tyler, did I leave anything out?
No, you literally covered everything.
Well, it's really cool to hear about, Brad. And I mean, just for your background, I mean, the first probably 20 episodes of our podcast, the audio quality is just absolutely terrible. And I bought a mic probably around then. And then Christian and Matt didn't get mics probably until episode 100. So, you know, you guys are well ahead of us, at least as far as the professionalism of everything you guys got going on. So that's cool to hear.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, sorry to cut you off, Dave.
No, what's up?
Spent a ton of money, a lot more. I mean, just asking people like, yeah, $50 to do a podcast. We are way above $50 now and everything. But I mean, if you want to sound good and if you want to take it serious, I mean, you got to spend the money. And, you know, Tyler and I, we both enjoy talking soccer with each other. But not only that, we love talking with you and your brothers. Just so many people we've met over the world, around the world and around the United States. And, you know, that's what it's all about. Just sharing our passion for the game and just getting to hear everybody's thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's really cool from that perspective. Taking it a step back further from, I know you said you started the first episode in January 2018. What were the discussions like? What was the impetus to start the podcast, Tyler? From your perspective, when did you guys decide, hey, we're going to start this? And then was it like the next day you recorded, or what was the process like for actually deciding to start?
I know we were on Xbox.
Yes, there you go.
We were playing Modern Warfare 2, and Todd approached me with this idea. He was like, what if we did a soccer podcast? Because you like talking soccer, I like talking soccer. What if we just talked about soccer? And I was immediately, I was like, all right, why not? How hard can that be? And then, you know, thousands of dollars later, and almost 2 years, or not almost 2 years, going on 2 years now. It's been a journey. I just think the biggest thing is sticking with it. You know, people who want to start a new show. I know Todd did an interview early on with the kid, and he just gave up. He was like, "Man, it sucks. It's hard. I quit." You just can't have that mentality with it. You got to just stick with it, and eventually, you know, you put the time, you put the money and the resources into it, you'll get a decent product.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really well said. Probably should have asked this earlier. How do you, like, what's your two relationship? How do you guys know each other? Are you friends from a while ago? Did you just meet on Xbox and decide to start a podcast?
20-something years ago.
We've known each other ever since we were
Literally.
Okay, cool.
babies. We're legit next door neighbors. So most of the time we'll record at my house in the basement, or as we call it, the studio, with two fish tanks. So
Magic happens.
I'm sorry if you hear fish tanks and everything. You can never hear it on our show, just with the editing that we do. That takes a while, but yeah, it is a lot better than recording in Tyler's basement. But yeah, we've known each other ever since we're babies, and yeah, just been friends ever since. So
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so then you decided to start the podcast, and correct me if I'm wrong. Has it always been the Free Kick Pod, or did it have a different name at the very start?
Man.
So I want to hear the story about that. So Todd, can you tell us?
oh, me. Okay, so Tyler.
I did under some text messages, by the way. But go ahead.
Or Tyler, whoever is better suited to tell this story.
Oh no, Ty, go ahead.
I'll tell half of it, and if I leave anything out, Tyler can.
I'll fill in the blanks. I got you.
So Tyler came up with the name officially at the beginning. It used to be called the Full-Time Podcast, or Full-Time Podcast, one of them. Well, what we didn't know at the time, we went on Twitter, we went on Facebook, we went on Instagram or anything like that. We were like, yeah, we don't need this stuff and everything. Yet here we are on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, you know, connecting with people. So you do need
Free Kick Pod.
You are like me at the beginning, like, oh, I don't need that stuff. You definitely do need social media to connect with people, and it is a lifesaver if you're trying to get notes in order and everything. So Tyler is like the full-time podcast. Let's make it that. We're like, okay. So once we get on Twitter, we find out that there's actually a UK podcast named the Full-Time Podcast. And we're like, you know what? Let's not compete with these guys. These guys have over 100 episodes, and we got to change this name and everything. So I have no clue how we got the name the Free Kick Podcast. Maybe Tyler can kind of cover this. Tyler, do you know?
I do, actually. I went really far back into our text to talk about this because me and you, I think it was earlier this week, we were talking about like, how did we get the Free Kick? Like, how did we come up with that? So I literally took time on my lunch break today to just spent like 25 minutes scrolling through text and searching. Originally, it was a list of 3 other names. And one of them, going back, was Off the Bar. I can't remember the second one. And then the third one was the Free Kick Podcast. And then you said, let's just shorten into the Free Kick. And then, here we are now.
All right. I like it. And so how long into... So you decided it was going to be full-time podcast originally. How long of a timeline was it before you made the switch? Just out of curiosity.
That's a good question. I mean, I'd say anywhere between 4 to 6 months. It might have been shorter, it might have been longer. I don't know. And once we decided to make the name change, we were like, you know what? If we're doing that, we got to get a logo. So honestly, it probably was 4 to 6 months we had the full-time podcast, and we were like, let's get a logo. So we went on Fiverr and had somebody create our logo, and got a lot of feedback from it. And I posted pictures a couple of days ago on Twitter of stickers. Everybody's asking for our stickers, so don't worry if you've asked for stickers. I got you. And if you're a Philadelphia Union fan, we'll be at the game August 11th. I know a couple fans have already hit out to us saying, hey, can you bring us stickers to the game? So we got you. So if anybody else is listening that you're a Philadelphia Union fan, if you want our stickers, we got you.
All right,
If
there
we
you
run
go.
out of stickers, we are not liable to the amount of stock of stickers we have.
All right, very cool. And so originally, I knew you just had the new logo, and that was kind of where I wanted to take the conversation. But before that, you were using kind of a variation of the Maryland flag, right? In the logo. Who created that one? Was that you guys?
Yeah. So what happened with that was Brad, again, our producer. I mean, he did so much other than just producing a show. I mean, he really got us organized with Slack we use to communicate, and I think you guys use that as well. He looked for people that can make logos, and he had a friend. He lives in Knoxville, Tennessee. So he had a friend that's a graphics designer, and he came up with 3 logos for us. And we were using a guy kicking a soccer ball at the time with blue, white, and red for the United States flag. We were like, since we're based in Maryland, let's use the Maryland flag colors. So we took out everything else, stuff the guy kicking the soccer ball, and used Photoshop, which I sucked at. So that's why it wasn't the best and everything. And it's like, let's take the Maryland flag, let's put it behind the guy kicking the ball, and let's go with that for a little bit. And Brad, our producer's like, let's go with something unique. And we were like, well, we like soccer badges. So Tyler started listing a whole bunch of soccer badges that he liked. And we have what we have now. So Tyler?
I mean, you nailed everything. You really didn't miss a dot, actually.
So the current logo was more an evolution out of your prior logo, and then conversations with Brad and then his graphic design friend.
Yep, and then how we got the new logo now, like I said a little bit ago, we went on Fiverr and gave the guy an idea of what we wanted. We still want to keep the Maryland colors, even though, I mean, it's not exactly the Maryland colors, but I mean, it's close enough and everything. We're not going to complain. I mean, this thing's pretty awesome. So
yeah, no, it's a really good looking logo, and I was just pulling it up here, and it's definitely really cool looking. Do the stars have any significance? I see you have 4 stars, or is this just kind of what looked cool?
It's what looked cool.
All right, no, I love it. So
actually, there was something interesting about the first logo. Not to cut you off, Dave. That man kicking the soccer ball was actually a picture of Todd in high school kicking the soccer ball in a silhouette, almost like the Major League Baseball logo, almost like that, or the NBA. So yeah, that
Jerry West.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. That is a fun fact. That's awesome too.
That. I don't know how I did, but it might have been impressions that I suffered. So
never forget your roots, man.
Well, I can't play soccer anymore, but yeah, there we go.
All right, very cool. Well, that was interesting. Can you guys tell us? So we've talked a lot about your podcast, but can you describe it for people? I know you touched on kind of what you talk about, but Todd, can you tell us a little bit more about the podcast?
I mean, we're talking anything in the the Champions League and the Premier League. I mean, we're focused on all the games that are played during the week, give our thoughts, break down what we saw and everything. And then again, I mean, still sticking with news like contract extensions, managers getting sacked, then rumors, something that I used to be opposed to because I'm like, nobody wants to hear this. I mean, it's just a whole bunch of gossip and everything, but little did I know, it leads to it leads to some pretty good audio bites and everything to post on Instagram, Twitter, and everything, just talking about ridiculous rumors. So now we've included that. And we used to do something called the Pickle Games, which is kind of like your quick kick picks, but we gave up on making a website and everything. And so we just threw that game out of the window. And now we have something called Blunder of the Week, which is where anything in the soccer world that's a blunder, you can bring it onto the show, give that to as your Blunder of the Week. Or it can honestly, I mean, be anything. Like if you play co-ed soccer, if you play men's soccer, women's soccer, whatever it is, as long as it's soccer related and it's a blunder, you can use it on our show. So I know Will Vivard from Tottenham Hotspur world, he would always give his blunder of the week to TNT Sports and Future Report. Yes, I mean, that's a great blunder. I mean, and I'm sure this season when we're watching Champions League, they're going to get it plenty of times because I do not have faith in them that they're going to fix their connection issues. So we'll see.
Preach.
Yeah. And so from a timeline perspective, each week you guys do, I think, at least one episode of just you two. And then you also oftentimes have like interview guests and things like that. Right? Am I correct in that?
Yeah.
Is there like a timeline like that you guys stick to, or is it more just kind of whenever, Tyler?
No. Todd makes his schedule, and then already made August's schedule. Thank God, because my work schedule and his work schedule, sometimes are conflicting. So, just like with everything, you want a good set song schedule about like, all right, we're gonna record this day with this topic or this general topic and with this guest, or we're going to talk with these guys about this. And it does help. It's nice to stay organized.
For listeners, is it, what can they expect? Is it every X number of days? Is it, Todd?
Yeah, that's what I was going to throw in.
Okay.
I try to record 2 times a week. Usually we'll record on Sundays, release on Monday mornings, and then we'll record on Wednesday and then usually release that Friday morning, just so people, can start their day, have something to listen to in the morning. Sometimes that schedule doesn't align. Like Tyler said, our work schedule doesn't always work. And another thing I forgot to mention is we had a lot of guests on from England, which are teams that play in the London Underground Series, which is basically a work league that people are playing soccer. And it's really, really cool. We've met a lot of cool people. We've had Piccadilly Line, who Cem Toygaard's the manager there. He's sent us free kits and everything, which is really, really cool. He got our logo printed on the back, which is even cooler. We've had District Line send us stickers and pins and stuff like that. And we've interviewed the managers and just heard how they got into the game and everything, just how the league started and everything. So it's really hard because a lot of these managers are in their 50s and 60s, and they don't believe in technology, or I believe in it.
You just outed somebody.
Well, more than a few I outed. So
we'll see. At least you're owning it. You're owning it, so it's good.
Hey, I doubt they're going to listen. We tried. There's, I believe, 12 teams in the league. We got 6 out of the 12 teams, and the other 6 managers have basically said "F off" or like, "Oh yeah, we'll help you" and everything. But they never messaged me back or whatever, or they just blow it off. So I'm like, you know what? Well, we're not going to hold grudges. We're going to find other people and put this on hold right now. And I think in August, in the middle of August, we're going to bring on Cem Toygaard again, the Piccadilly manager, talk about just the upcoming season for London Underground. And I believe he's on the committee. I forget exactly what his title is, so I need to go back in my notes and find out what that is. But we're just going to preview the season and everything. And if the managers that didn't come on last season, if they want to come on now, then now's your chance. And from that, one of the other teams that we interviewed was Northern Line FC. One of the co-managers, Tom Brown, his brother, Sean Brown, used to coach in the United States with San Jose Earthquake. He coached at Tottenham Hotspur and Arsenal. And now he's just a one-on-one coach, tries to get kids scouted and everything. He has connections over in England. That's where he lives with people if they are good enough to get scouted. And he's just basically working on the one-on-ones and everything. And he's a really, really cool guy. And he just has so much knowledge and everything. And I had him on a couple of weeks ago to basically talk about from his time in MLS, where MLS is now and everything. He agrees that MLS is definitely growing. And he doesn't see it as a bad thing that there's older players playing in MLS, because older players typically tend to make everybody around them a lot better. And that's how I kind of feel as well, just because I know when I was playing soccer, people that were playing club soccer, they always made me better. I wasn't the best, but people that could get on the end of my passes or play me a good ball, or they just make everybody around them a lot better. So I mean, it's just really cool, these connections that we've got from over in England.
Yeah, how did the London Underground series start? How did that whole relationship come about? Was it Twitter?
Yep, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I hated Twitter at first, but it's really been a lifesaver. I mean, that's how I found every single guest that we've had on the podcast. And again, Chem Toygard, the Piccadilly manager, hit us up. He's like, I've listened to a couple of your podcasts and everything. You guys are really, really knowledgeable, and I just would love to be on and everything. And I'm in a league called the London Underground series. So we got from talking and everything to eventually getting him on. He gave me a whole bunch of numbers on WhatsApp of managers over there. And, I got 6 out of the 12 managers to say, yeah, I'd love to be on and be interviewed. And then the other 6 are basically...
We have your number.
Yeah, I have their number still. So, I mean, I could blow up their phones if I really wanted to, but I'm better than that.
Expect the call.
Yeah, probably best not to do that. Tyler, who has been the most interesting guest that you've gotten to interview through the podcast?
Ooh, the most interesting guess. To me, it's definitely got to be Chem. I mean, this whole way to start, basically planted the seed for this whole series that we did, and interviewed all these different people and get a real insight on the real grassroots football in London. And I mean, I don't want to say like, if we didn't do the show, then people wouldn't know about it. But I mean, if we didn't do the show, I wouldn't know about it. So in retrospect, it is that, and it's really crazy to see these things come together.
Yeah, it is really cool. Todd, who's been your most interesting guest?
Bruce Talking Soccer, Dave, the chat.
Oh wow. Yeah, you got something on your nose, Chief.
Yeah.
You got something on your nose, Chief.
Who is it for real though?
I would say, I really, really enjoyed talking to Sean Brown. And like Tyler said, I mean, Chem's been a great guy too. I mean, just any of the teams that are connected to the London Underground series wouldn't have no clue about these guys if they didn't reach out, have no clue that it's a league and everything. I mean, it's not big at all, but some of these players are actually getting scouted to play in other non-league clubs over in England and everything. So that's really cool to see. And I've just had a lot of fun talking to people over in England, from people to find us in America over in England to find us interesting, to Americans talking soccer. I mean, we got to be doing something well, I'd think. So
yeah, it's always crazy when you look at your podcast stats and you have listeners from like all over the world, and you just wonder like how they stumbled into you. So the internet's a crazy, wild thing. Before we get into talking about your fandom, Tyler, I have to ask this question because it drives me crazy every time. So on Twitter, your name is Tyler spelled with an E, regular, but your actual name that you have listed both in your email that I'm looking at right here and on Twitter, like the name, not the @ but the name is with the A. So it confuses me every time. I always need to double check whenever I'm writing your name to make sure I'm spelling it right, but it is just the regular E. What's up with the A? I have to ask.
It actually just started as a meme.
Okay.
Is what I should say. So it kind of just evolved into like, oh, I accidentally like did it again, and I wrote it, and then I would write it on my name tag, and it just became so habitual that I was like, well, if I'm already at this point, I mean, I might as well just make everything with an A, right? And my late grandmother, God bless her soul, this was the Christmas before she passed, and she said, I never knew his name is spelt with an A. I feel so terrible. And to this day, I was like, oh, I feel like such an ass. But it was worth it. It was worth it. It just started as a meme, and it grew legs and started its own life.
Now you have some sort of like identity crisis. You don't know which Tyler you are.
On FIFA, I'm Tyler Dino. I made it my Avi. We had an inside joke with some of the grassroots teams in London where me and Todd would say announce Tyler Dino, and it started like people started retweeting it and replying to it, and it was just awesome. It was so hilarious.
Well, that's funny. I'm glad I have a little bit more clarity now, and I know the backstory there. Let's talk a little bit about your fandom. I know, Todd, you touched on you being an England fan and also a Manchester United fan from that 2006 World Cup. Tyler, you touched on being a Tottenham fan, basically from FIFA. Is both those stories kind of accurate? Is that a right characterization? Anything else you want to add for how you became fans?
No, that's pretty accurate.
Yep, Tyler.
Yep.
All right, cool. And then, so how are you feeling? Tyler, why don't we start with you? How are you feeling about the upcoming season for Tottenham? You guys actually signed some, at least one player so far. How are you feeling about the season?
Well, I was still skeptical, I think, like every Spurs fan. And then I saw also on my lunch break that Spurs want to keep Eriksen and Lo Celso for a signing. And that blew my mind. As a Spurs fan, I don't know what depth is. So I guess I'm just walking around with the false sense of confidence, but no, I expect a definite could be a premier title run. It could be a real deep FA Cup run, and same with the Champions League. And I'm feeling really confident from what I've seen in the Juve game. While I know it was just a friendly, I mean, Ndombele looked absolutely phenomenal. The future in Troy Parrott looked absolutely phenomenal, and it was a great game. While it was a friendly, it was kind of an insight, hopefully.
You feel they've done
the
enough?
60-yard banger. That was awesome. That was just pure luck. But hey, it is what it is.
Hey, sometimes you need the luck. I mean, you got to take the shot. I mean, you never know what can happen. You think that they've done enough though to close the gap between Liverpool and City realistically?
I wouldn't say yet. I'd say they definitely closed in. I guess if I had to pick one on City, probably. I think Liverpool is honestly the better one of the two. I think Liverpool is just, with what they've done with Virgil van Dijk, just bringing in, revamping a defense, having them, the worst of times when they were so injured, but players just kept stepping up for Liverpool. Even Dijon Lovren at times, and it was just like, wow, this they're just, Liverpool's on another level. So if I had to compare it to at least one of them, I'd say at least City.
Wow. Okay. Even me as a Liverpool fan, I would not say that, but all right, I'll take it. I hope that you're right, but I still think City is title favorites. But Todd, how are you feeling about United's offseason and upcoming season?
Again, shout out to our Reddit, because we have a pretty good guy who has inside sources, X Simon, who's got the last couple of transfers right. He's reporting that Harry Maguire is done. He's said for a while it's been done. He's already been in the marketing department. So, I'm calling you out on, again, but this time on different different podcast. So please don't make me look stupid, Simon. So, if we honestly do bring in Harry Maguire, that's going to make our defense that much better. We brought in Wan-Bissaka, who's looked really, really good the last couple preseason games. So, he has that right back spot cemented for the next 10, 15 years. I'd like to see Lukaku leave, but again, don't be forced into selling him. Make Inter Milan come out, pay $100 million for him. If not more, you have him under contract and everything. I don't think he fits Ole's system, but I do think Marcus Rashford can lead the line. Mason Greenwood is an upcoming striker, kind of like Rashford. Has been given a chance, and I think he could play a good part for us next season. Still, I think we need at least a holding midfielder, maybe another center mid. And if Harry Maguire comes in, that's going to be really good. Daniel James, who was our first signing this season, he plays on the left. We have way too many left wingers at the club. We need somebody who can play on the right. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. But everybody's saying we're just going to wait till the season's over again in the Champions League for next season, and then Jadon Sancho will come. I don't know if that's true or not. But if we can bring in at least 2 more signings, I'll be happy. I have no clue. I'll be honest. I have no clue where Manchester United are going to finish. And at the end of January, Tyler and I are going to give our predictions of where we think people are going to finish. Right now, as things stand, I would say City probably is ahead of Liverpool, just because Liverpool haven't made any signings, which I'm a little bit shocked about. But Jurgen Klopp makes a good point with Ox coming back next season. That basically is a new signing and everything. He was really, really crucial for Liverpool the first season he was in before he got injured. And Divock Origi looks like he's finding his place. Brewster, young striker. Looks like he can be a real deal for Liverpool. So I don't know if they really need signings. I think they're pretty good, but I guess it can be a little bit worrying if you're a Liverpool fan that you haven't at least signed one player. But yeah, I have no clue where Manchester United are going to finish. So.
Yeah, we've signed a couple youth players, but no one really first team level quality, which I'm still okay with. What do you make of the whole Pogba situation? Do you think he's going to be at United this season?
I do.
Okay.
So
were you happy with that?
I'm not.
Okay.
So I'm very, very vocal on a podcast where I compared Pogba to Antonio Brown. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, where both of them are just cancers to the locker room that you need to get Pogba out of here. But all these players are saying all these good things that, oh, yeah, Pogba is good for the locker room. No way. I mean, this guy, as soon as we start losing, as soon as he loses the ball, he'll walk back on defense. I mean, so many times we saw that last season. Now, if he can get his head right, then yeah, he'll be a good player and everything. I mean, we see it with France. He's a really decent player, but it's like as soon as something goes wrong for Pogba, his mentality drops and everything. And you need players at the club that want to play for the badge, that aren't playing for money, aren't playing for a step up. Yes, Manchester United are slouching as of late. And I mean, if you don't want to call them a big club, that's fine. I mean, I probably wouldn't call them a big club playing wise, at least. I mean, known wise, yes, everybody knows Manchester United, but playing wise, absolutely not. And we honestly need players who want to play for the badge, that want to be at Manchester United. And so, I mean, Victor Lindelof, we saw earlier this summer, his agent came out and said, yeah, Victor may be looking to go to a different club and everything, a bigger club. And I think he was linked to Barcelona. And then Victor came out on Twitter, said, nah, this is absolutely BS. I'm happy at Manchester United. So my thing is, Raiola, who's Pogba's agent, keeps stirring all this trouble and everything. Why doesn't Pogba just come out and squash these rumors? So that tells me that he's not 100% committed to Manchester United, but he still is a Manchester United player. I just can't see anybody paying 150 million. So that's why I think Pogba will stay at Manchester United, even though I'm not happy with it.
All right, fair enough. And so in addition to those are your Premier League teams, but you also support the same team that I support over here, the Philadelphia Union. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys, I know you've kind of followed the league, but is this the first season that you've really kind of gone all in with the Union? Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. And so why this season? And why the Union too? So Baltimore is right in between Philly and DC for the most part. So why'd you pick the Union over something like DC United?
So I do get a lot. Yeah, mileage-wise, DC is closer to us than Philly, Chester, I guess technically. But the ride up to Chester is a lot easier than it is all the way down to DC. Just I don't want to deal with that traffic. And people are like, oh, well, Manchester United's Wayne Rooney's at DC United now. Why aren't you a fan of that? I don't care. Like, I'm a Philly fan. Like, this is my first Philly team that I follow. I mean, everything else is Pittsburgh and then the Baltimore Orioles. So it does feel a little bit weird, but this is my team. I've watched every single game this season. I've been to every home game this season but two. My sister and I are also a Philadelphia Union fan. We're getting season tickets next season. Probably going to sign up for Sons of Ben. We always sit in the river end. So, I mean, this is our team, do or die. And yeah, I mean, I like the Steelers football team, but I mean, if they lose, I mean, I'm not sad, but like if Philadelphia Union lose, if England loses, or Manchester United, I'm pissed. You do not want to talk to me. And so this is my team, do or die. And yeah, I guess technically 2018's when I was like, I should pick an MLS team, and I was like, what, let's pick Philly just because it looks like it's a lot closer. And if we ever get out to a game, then that's going to be our team. So, and another thing is too, if Baltimore gets a team, it's not my team. I'm like Philly. I'm not gonna. If I pick a team first, I'm not switching. No matter.
The only way out's in a body bag.
So, I mean, yeah, Philly till I die.
I love it, Tyler. Similar story for you. Anything else to add about why the Union?
No, literally down to the T too. Definitely going to sign up for the Sons of Ben next year. Always sit in the river end. Introduce my girlfriend Courtney to the sport and the Union, and now she's texting me almost as we speak. About a minute ago, talking about when we're going to the DC United rivalry night game. And it's great. I love the atmosphere. I'm a Flyers fan, and I like the Phillies. The Orioles come first, obviously, but so I'm a little used to the atmosphere of Philly fans. We hate our own players and we hate everybody else, and it is what it is. and just that atmosphere and the mix of soccer, and that was love at first sight.
Yeah, and I will say that like I've always been against MLS. I've watched it in the past. I mean, everybody knows LA Galaxy when David Beckham came. So once Beckham came, I was like, let me watch this on TV and everything. But I just couldn't get into it because everybody says it, pro relegation. But you know what? I don't really care about that at the time. I don't think the league can really handle it at the time. I mean, they just keep taking more and more teams in here. So maybe something way down the line, maybe promotion relegation, but I don't know. So I mean, no, that's not a big sticking point for me right now. I hated the level of play, but I can be honest with you. I mean, I'm watching, like I said, I mean, all the Philly games in person on TV, and I'm watching other teams too, not as much as the Union, but the quality has definitely improved when the league first started and everything. And it's like, if people give it the chance, I mean, you got to give it a chance. Like, yeah, it's MLS, but it's not going to be English soccer. It's not going to be Champions League soccer. But when the league first started, it's definitely up there and everything. Like my dad, he's been opposed to MLS too, and he's a Liverpool fan just like my sister. So it's kind of weird living in the same household with two big rivalries. But they yeah, like I said, my sister's big Philadelphia fan too, getting season tickets. And my dad, every time we go to the game, or if we're not going to the game, he'll put it on TV and watch it. So it's like, yeah, the level's definitely going up, but don't expect it to be the Premier League level, La Liga, Champions League, because it's not, but it is definitely getting better. And, I always have a blast going to the game, and I love doing the chants and everything. I got my Build a Bonfire t-shirt on. If you're watching on YouTube, just love that chant. Hate New York Red Bulls, or I guess we can call them New Jersey Red Bulls. So yeah, I just love the team.
That's cool. Yeah, it's awesome to hear. And like you said, I mean, it's cool following a league that's just constantly improving. And so, it's fun from that. Tyler, how you feeling about the team this year? They're sitting in first in the East. Do you think we can hang on to firsts? What are you expecting?
Oh, I think absolutely. I think if we just keep one step ahead of Atlanta, I think they sit in second with 36, I believe, and then DC United with 35 and Scum next. So I think if we can just stay one step ahead and keep getting these crucial results, like I know it's a Saturday, while it is Montreal, Montreal plays great at home. They don't lose a lot at home. I mean, they beat Portland at home, and Portland's a great team on the road, and it's going to be a tough one. But I think a game like this, to walk away with 3 points would be actually absolutely huge.
Absolutely. Yeah. Todd, how you feeling about the rest of the season for the Union?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely getting the playoffs. Can we sustain being in first place? I don't know, but definitely top three. Hopefully, Andrew Wooten, our new signing, hopefully he can start getting his fitness levels up, start bagging in the goals. We need Jamiro Montero back, and hopefully we can find some way to get this guy to come back next season. Yes, he's going to be a designated player. I mean, that's obvious. So whatever Ernst needs to do to get him signed up, we need him. Yes, he's been missed the last couple of games. I mean, this guy's kind of our Conte, in my opinion. He always wins back the balls and everything for us. He'll track back from defense to offense. I mean, this guy does it all for us. Hopefully, Marco Fabian can start picking up his levels. Yeah, I wasn't that impressed with him Saturday, and yeah, he scored a goal, and yeah, it was hot out and everything, but he's definitely got off to a slow start. Maybe that's down to injuries and everything, but I'm really impressed with this team. Kai Wagner, another player who, credit to Ernst, found this guy in the third division, I think, in the Bundesliga. Yep. This guy has broke all my expectations. And I talked about this on our last podcast, where if he keeps this level up, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go back to Germany. I mean, what a signing he's been. And I'm very, very confident in the team. And like I said, hopefully Wooten can get on the goal sheet and nobody else gets hurt. And El Senior, hopefully, fingers crossed, he stays injury-free. Love watching this guy play. And yeah, I'm just really, really enjoying this season. So
yeah, me too. And I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that it'd be miraculous if they stayed in first, just because I think Atlanta, just with the talent that they have, New York City with a bunch of games in hand, but I think they absolutely can finish top three. And who knows, they might end up surprising me in finishing first, but I'm really encouraged by the team that they've put together. And for once, they actually have depth. So I'm really excited about, the Philadelphia Union's rest of their season. We have a Twitter question here from @KickCornerFlag. So that's our friends who kick the corner flag. Check out their awesome podcast. It's a fun game show themed Premier League podcast, but he asked, who are Chelsea's sleeve sponsors? And so I think we have a clip queued up, and I'm going to need the backstory here. So Todd, I believe over to you.
I got it. Yep.
Who's Scrappin' sponsor?
Well, that's Yamaha Tires is their main shirt sponsor, I think.
Yokohama, but I'll give that a pass.
Oh, where was it?
Yokohama.
What did I say?
Yamaha.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Oh.
I promise you, folks, we're not under the influence.
Yeah, you gotta leave that in
It's
there.
the heat. It's the heat.
Dude.
It's the heat. It was a Hyundai.
Oh. So they have a tire sponsor as their main, and then they have. Okay.
Dude, I swear, dude, I've never seen that Hyundai logo.
So yeah, that's where they get that question from.
God, we sound. Oof.
I have no clue what I was thinking, and honestly, like once I saw James ask this question again, I was like, "Wait, Tyler, who's the shirt sleeve sponsor?" Because honestly, I forgot again. And yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. I guess it was just one of those days.
Well, that's hilarious. Was this on their show where they asked a question, right? Is that the response?
So thank you.
This is my favorite part. Was the reason why.
Go ahead, Tyler.
This was even a thing.
So we brought this up on our show, but Tyler, why did we bring this up?
You were trying to flex on Drew Prels about shirt sleeve sponsors, and then the first one I gave you, you absolutely just bottled it, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, so I was like trying to prepare because I was in the final and the podcast is up against Drew Pels, and I knew the questions were going to be harder. So I thought James was going to ask sleeve sponsors. He did not ask a single sleeve sponsor, and I'm like, what the hell? Why did I study for this stuff? So I got demolished by Drew. So I'm sure Drew's going to listen to this podcast and be like, yes, you're talking about me again. So yes, congratulations, Drew. You beat me. You made me look like a fool. Everything I studied for, it just goes out the window. And I mean, you were a great study partner, Tyler, but next time they have this competition, I'm not studying, man. I mean, it was a waste. So,
well, I thought you were saying it was me. I was going to be like, oh, all right. Well, I thought it was read the questions.
Well, in fairness, you absolutely smoked me in our round that we played against each other, and I did not study. So, at least you did better. You don't want to end up like me by not studying. So, if that's encouragement for why you should study in the future.
Yeah, kids. So if you're in school, definitely
exactly.
Studying will take you places.
All right, guys. Before I ask my final question, is there anything else that we didn't talk about today that you really wanted to talk about, Todd?
No, I think we've covered everything. So had a lot of fun, Tyler.
No, I agree. This has been an absolute blast. I was reading the comment section while we were going. That was a little funny in there, and overall great.
I think you're talking about YouTube.
Oh, what did I say?
No, you said comment section. So yeah, thank you for everyone that's here. James and Sal chiming in on YouTube. So thank you guys for being here. But I like to ask all my interview guests this final question. What's the thing you're most excited about happening in your soccer world? Tyler, why don't we start with you? What's the thing you're most excited about?
Hopefully Spurs bringing in Lo Celso and Ryan Sessegnon. Hopefully those two deals can get done. And then looking forward to the upcoming playoff season for the Union. That's how confident I am of them getting in, and hopefully they can make a deep run and bring home the silverware.
All right. Todd, what about you?
No, I'll exactly what Tyler said. I mean, I'm expecting us to go to the playoffs, the Union. Expecting us to get a home game if we keep up the form we have. If we get a home win, that's even better. But I mean, just the way we've been this season, I think we can make a deep run in the playoffs. So fingers crossed, no injuries. I'm excited for just all the potential guests that we can have coming on the podcast. I'm excited for the Premier League season. I'm just, I mean, who knows where this is going to take us. I mean, when we first started this podcast, I had no clue that we'd get in contact with so many people and everything. And I mean, it's been such a blast during the podcast and everything. So I'm just looking forward to the next person who we have coming on the show, whoever that may be. So.
Very cool. Yeah, I know. We've had a similar thing where, we started this just as three brothers just trying to keep in contact and chat about the beautiful game, and met all kinds of people. We've met you guys and people from all over the world, had them on and just interacted on Twitter. So it's been a really cool experience, and I'm excited to keep following your journey and us to all keep growing together as a podcasting community. So guys, thank you so much for having me on. We have all of your stuff, or excuse me, thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome,
Yeah.
Dave. This has been Bros Talking Soccer.
I went
Tyler
into went into thank you mode the wrong way there, but yeah, thank you so much for joining me. We have all of your stuff linked in the video description and podcast show notes, but in case people are just listening, Todd, where can people find you online?
It's actually Tyler's section. So Tyler.
All right, Todd or Tyler.
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Free Kick Pod. You can find us on all your big podcast hosting sites at the Free Kick Soccer Podcast.
All right, so make sure to go check them out. Todd, thank you so much for being here and talking with me.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
Tyler, thank you.
Thanks for coming on, Dave. Anytime it's an honor.
All right, guys. Well, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.
Thanks. See you, Dave.
All right, people on YouTube, Sal and James, thank you for joining us. Sal, we would love a Galaxy Union MLS Cup final. So, yeah, that would be incredible. Where would that be hosted? I guess right now the Galaxy would host it, but hopefully the Union can pip them for second in the Supporter Shield. And, they host it down in Chester. I might have to make a cross-country trip back home to go to that one. Guys, anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
No, I think we're good.
All right, cool. See you, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.